Rasulullah would be given responsibility. Abu Talib would take him with him as a young man. Number two, a few years later, Rasulullah participated in the battle known as the Battle of the Fujjar. What was the Battle of the Fujjar? There used to be an agreement since the time of Prophet Ibrahim that there were 4 months in the Islamic calendar where nobody would fight each other. Muharram, Rajab, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah. In these 4 months, it was agreed by all the Arabians that nobody would fight each other, that if there was a war going on in that period, the war would end. That's why many of you remember the Battle of Siffin, the battle stopped in Muharram. Because of the fact that according to Arabian tradition, the 4 holy months were these months, and that a war would not happen. Every tribe in Arabia, Banu Qais, Banu Kinana, Banu Hashim, Banu Abd al-Muttalib, all of the tribes agreed, we will never break this covenant. That if there is a problem between any of us in Muharram, or in Rajab, or in Dhul Qa'dah, or in Dhul Hijjah, we will stop the fight and there will be no war. In Dhul Qa'dah of that year, when Rasulullah was still in his teens, what did he see? Someone from the tribe of Qais, by the name of Barrad, killed someone from Quraysh, by the name of Urwa. When Barrad killed Urwa, it was in the month of Dhul Qa'dah. When it was in that month of Dhul Qa'dah, what happened was that now they had broken the agreement. Abu Talib had instigated an agreement that in those months nobody would fight. Now the Banu Qais had broken the agreement with the Quraysh. And therefore a war occurred between them, because the Banu Qais weren't repentant. They said, so what if we've killed him? Who are you to stop us? Abu Talib said, but we've made an agreement that in those months we'd have peace. No, we wanted to kill him, you can't stop us. Abu Talib therefore participated in fighting these people. Because of the fact that they weren't allowing law and order to flourish within the community, the narration says Rasulullah would listen to what his uncle would be doing. And while listening, he'd recognize the importance of justice and treaties within the community. He was a young man, but he was listening to the every word of his uncle, and that's why the narrations say Rasulullah participated in this battle, but not as a soldier. He was given the authority to collect the arrows which had gone astray. His uncle Abu Talib said to him, whenever the arrows go astray, I want you to go and collect those arrows and bring them towards me. Therefore, number 2, his second position as a youth was that he participated within a battle against injustice. His third position in the youth was the aftermath of this battle. Because in the aftermath of this battle, what happened was, there was a man who used to come to Arabia. Many people used to come to Arabia for trade. A man came to Arabia for trade from the tribe of Zabid. In those days, the Arabs would be extremely arrogant from any foreign visitors. If you were a tourist or a trader who's come from outside Arabia, they wouldn't treat you in the best of manners. Rasulullah was 20 when this was happening. This man from the tribe of Zabid came to sell his goods to the Arabs. Al-As ibn Wa'il, the father of Ammar ibn al-As, came and he saw what? He saw this trader and he saw his goods. He came and he took all the goods. The trader said to him at that moment, he said to him, why have you taken my goods? Do you want to buy them? He said, no. He said, then can I have the money? No. He said, can you give me back my goods? No. He said to him, then why am I here if you're going to treat me in this way? And Asim bin Wa'il said, what are you going to do about it? You're a foreigner in our land. And subhanAllah, how history repeats itself. That if you're a foreigner in certain lands, you have no rights whatsoever. And you find that what happened was this man could not believe it. I've come here innocently as a human being who wants to earn some rizq. And now I end up with all my goods being taken with me. He went towards some of the most famous tribes of Arabia. He went to Banu Makhzum, said to them, can you help me? Sorry, it's an Arab against a non-Arab. There's no support. He went to Banu Adi, sorry. He went to Banu Abdiddar, sorry. Until he went to the mountain of Abu Qubays. He stood on top of the mountain and he said, "O people, I have come here as a trader. My goods have all been taken away from me, and none of the Arabs are helping me gain my rights back." A 20-year-old by the name of Muhammad was with his uncle Zubair ibn Abd al-Muttalib. Because you know Rasulullah had a number of uncles. Amongst his uncles was Hamza ibn Abd al-Muttalib, Abu Lahab. Amongst his uncles was Abu Talib. Amongst his uncles was Abbas, and amongst his uncles was Zubair. Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib, Rasulullah was with him, Rasulullah was only 20 at the time. Zubair bin Abdul Muttalib said to that man, "Oh man, come here next to me. Is this what Al-As bin Wa'il has done to you?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Don't worry about it. Come to the 5 main tribes of Arabia. From this day onwards, we're going to perform an act which has no rivalry." And you know, later in his life, Rasulullah would always say, if I had a chance, I would repeat the same act which I saw at the age of 20. Because what did Zubair do? Zubair got the 5 main tribes of Arabia. Banu Hashim, Banu Abdul Muttalib, Banu Asad, Banu Tamim, and Banu Zahra. He got the 5 tribes. He said, alongside Rasulullah, who was only 20 at the time, we're going to perform an act by the name of Hilful Fudul. Hilful Fudul in the English language is the League of Justice. People said, what is it? Said that from this day onwards, we are never going to be unjust to a foreigner when he comes to this land. And that now employees have rights and employers have rights. There are now going to be receipts, invoices, which we have today, that whenever a person comes into this land, it's going to be written that he came in on this day with this merchandise. And that if anybody attacks him, the League of Justice will punish that person. Who was in the center of this? A 20-year-old by the name of Muhammad. Look at this young age. Then the 4th act which he performed at a young age was the placing of Hajar al-Aswad into the Kaaba. Because you know, Hajar al-Aswad occupies that position on the corner of the Kaaba. Hajar al-Aswad, the Kaaba, there was a rain, mass amount of rain, which had attacked the Kaaba. Before it attacked the Kaaba, there was a fire to the Kaaba. And now the Kaaba had been damaged because of the fire and because of the rain. When this damage had happened, the people had decided that we're going to have to rebuild the Kaaba, because many parts had now fallen off. At the beginning, some of these Arabs were scared. Why? Because they said, imagine I'm the one who breaks the stone of Allah's house. And if you think about it today, who would dare to go and be the one who helps in the rebuilding? It's not easy, because it means you're going to have to break a brick and then put one back in. Someone came forward, Walid ibn Mughira, he said, don't worry, I'll be the first to do it. They began to break the Kaaba, and then they built it up as it is today. When they built it up, what then happened was that they now came to a question. Who's going to place Hajar al-Aswad where it was? Many of these Arabian tribes, it didn't take much to make them fight. You stare at my camel, I'll kill you. You take my sheep out, I'll kill you. And here on this occasion, one tribe came forward and said, we're the oldest tribe in Arabia. We should have the rights of placing the black stone. A second said, yes, you are the oldest, but we have the most famous people in Arabia. A third said, yes, you are the most famous, but we are the richest people in Arabia. A fourth came and said, but we are the most knowledgeable. Before you knew it, they were killing each other. One was on top of the other. Until Abu Umayyah, a man by the name of Abu Umayyah, stood up and said, oh people, the next man to walk into this area will decide where Hajar al-Aswad will go. Do we agree? He said, yes. Who was the next man to walk in? A 35-year-old, which they called Al-Amin, has walked in. Notice, they don't say Muhammad has walked in. They say Al-Amin, the trustworthy one of Arabia. Notice in his youth, his reputation was so strong that they either called him As-Sadiq or Al-Amin. They wouldn't even call him by any other name. They said Al-Amin will decide where the black stone will go. And when Rasulullah